Hello.
Hello? Is that working? Okay. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Oh, let me turn the speakers on. Oh, 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 oh. I probably should record this. Cool. Start recording. Hello. Okay. I'm just going to get started. I just wanted to record this for a setup video for the V2. But got all these fine roasters here that are all like, let me fix that. So V1, and then there's the V2 or Cyber Roaster or Delta or whatever you want to call it. And then we have this new one I got, the Smola S5. So like 500 grams, 500 grams, and then this is 600 grams. Radiant heat roasters are these two, and then this one is convection primarily, similar to Kaleido. So all under $1,000 to purchase. This one being the cheapest, this one about 700, and this one I think about almost the same price as the V2. So but this one works out of the box, works with Highbeam, so that's kind of the nice part about this one. If you're into the Highbeam stuff. Ooh, hold on. Turn my phone off. Anyways, all right, so I'm gonna put all this stuff away and we're gonna get started setting up on the V2. I don't know if anyone's roasted on the V2 yet, but if you're watching this, this will just be a quick, because a lot of people are wanting to know how to set it up. So I figured I might as well do a quick little setup video, record it, and then share it, because that's what the community is about, is sharing roasting experiences and making it less difficult to get into. Although it's not hard, just dump beans in and then you're roasting, right? But people kind of want to see a good setup, how to do this. Let me move this one out of the way. And then we'll talk a little bit more about this roaster later when I actually get a roast into it. It's heavy. It's a lot heavier than the V1 and the V2. Oh. Okay. So here's the V2, all the basic stuff you need. I think it comes with a nicer tablet stand. The old V1s came with this really crappy one, but I bought a separate tablet stand for it. Actually, it's really for my Highbeam roaster, or my Highbeam tablet. So here is this. So you're gonna need the tablet. You need to use that to control it. It's like the new controller pad. So plug it in. You want to look in the back. There are 2 ports, 3 altogether. So there's one USB. You have one. So you have one top USB port, which is serial USB, and then you have the one that connects to the tablet. So if you want to click to the bottom one, let's flip this over. So you got the tablet. Fix this a little bit. All right. So that's the basic part of just getting it set up. You can do all your roasting on the tablet. I'll be honest with you, I haven't done any roasting with just the tablet itself, because the way it tracks ROR is it just gives you it gives you a value every like 30 seconds or a minute, which isn't really helpful when you're roasting and you want to, have a good declining ROR. You really need to track it on a graph. So that's why I don't use the graph use this the panel at all. I mean, you can use it to do a roast, but I actually prefer using Artisan or Highbeam, which this unit could do both. So anyways, for looking through all the settings, setting here, if you need to switch to Celsius or Fahrenheit, you could do it on this side. So like I said, you can go to settings, settings, and then you could click on either or touch either the Fahrenheit or Celsius. I go by Celsius. You got profiles in here you can use if you want to use their setup profiles. You can load those in. I think you can run it that way too. One day I'll try using the tablet, but I probably won't, to be honest with you. But it has different ones you could try. You got your cooling, and if you have your filter fan plugged in, you could use this to control it. I obviously don't use that. Put it into standby mode. You're gonna turn it off, put it back on. You could go manual mode, auto mode. But biggest thing for me here is just also it comes in Chinese usually first. So you want to go to the bottom left if you see it in Chinese, and then just go put it right into English. That's another big thing when you start this. So if you want to do anything with Artisan without having to plug it in directly, then you could just hit Bluetooth on. And you can set that up for Highbeam, or you could set that up for Artisan over Bluetooth. So let's go ahead and we're gonna try Artisan first. All right, so everything's all set up like this. We'll go to the computer. All right. So when you hit the Bluetooth on, you want to go ahead, load up Artisan. And then you'll have Artisan set up. Then you want to load up the recent settings, or the settings file, which is usually under something called Artisan settings Skywalker V2 .asset. We have that on the Discord somewhere. I'm pretty sure we pinned it somewhere, but if you can't find it, I'll leave a link down below, or I'll put a link in the YouTube video. I'll have a Sky Wiki page up with all this information later tonight, if I can. So anyways, next thing you want to do is you want to connect to that. So you want to go to your Bluetooth settings. I'll go here, grab my keyboard Bluetooth. Okay, and then what you want to look for is something called AK Roaster. So we want to add Bluetooth device, Bluetooth. And you're going to search for something called AK Roaster. this thing right here. What this does, it sets itself up as a virtual comms port. So what that is that's basically a comms port over Bluetooth communication. So instead of like a serial Bluetooth or a serial comms port where you'd use like a USB wire to, USB-A to USB-C to communicate with each other, it just does that over Bluetooth. So we'll hit AK Roaster. I usually think the patch is 1, 2, 3, 4. Or the pin. It says you are ready to go. And then you'll go to your configs and your port device. And here. And then you should see a bunch of COM ports open up. I'll have to look through all of them. Let's see. Maybe I'll remove AK Roaster and see which ones it adds. Okay, so we have 12, 13, 17, 18. So now we'll go here. We'll add the Bluetooth device. Look for AK Roaster again. So it's 12, 13, 17, 18. 12, 13, 17, 18. 12, 13, 17, 18. Connect. So 12, 13, 17, 18, and then you see how I added 24 and 25. Someone was describing me why it sets it up as 2 ports. So I guess one handles all the communications back and forth. And I think the other one is some kind of output to somewhere. I don't know. Usually I just pick 20. I pick the first one, 24. I'll hit OK. And if that doesn't work, I just restart it. So I hit that one, and then you can hit on. Usually you hear the drum go on. So the drum will turn automatically. You can't really stop it. But luckily it's quiet enough and it's not as annoying as the V1 drum motor. So you can keep it on. It's actually pretty quiet when you put it up to 100. The burner goes to 100 automatically. That's the big no-no. Matter of fact, if you want to change that so it doesn't automatically turn on, you could go to Events, Buttons, and Slider. Oh, let's see, where's that? Events, go to Config. And you can, I think you can set it up where you put it on serial command OT1 and put it to 0. I think that works. Let's double check. Okay, so that worked. So it kept it on 0. So as soon as you turn it on, it just leaves it at 0. Just make sure you don't have the burner all the way to 100. I wonder if there's a way I could limit that. Maybe if I go to Events, go to Sliders, see how it maxes at 100? For burner, I'm going to set that up, just set it up to 90. Because if you put it 100% to that burner, it works that bulb really hard. Now, one important thing when you're using Artisan for the first time and you uploaded that settings file config, this will trip up a lot of people because you see this SV. Now, to explain it pretty easy, SV is basically set value of what temperature you want the roaster to be at. So for this one, I would just use that mostly for preheat. But if you don't turn it off during your roast, it will try to follow the background curve, or it will try to follow the set value here. So you're like, oh, I want this to, be at 200 and stay at 200. If you just leave that alone there, you drop the beans in, it will, or if you even just drop it to 0, it will turn off the lamp. So, and you'll kind of see this thing where if you do keep it on, the burner will go up and down because your SV is on and you're trying to control your roast, and you're like, what's going on? So what you set your burner to like 30, but your SV is at 200. You're like, oh, I want to lower it down. It'll actually keep bumping it up to back 100 till it gets back to that set value temperature. So if you want to not deal with that, I would just take this and put it to off, and you could click off, because as soon as you hit start, that means the PID starts at charge. So if you drop the beans and you hit charge, then your PID comes back on. And that's where a lot of people get flipped up, because now their burner keeps changing and they can't control it. So basically, just turn it off. You could unclick that if you want to, or if you do click it, just make sure you know that your PID is starting on charge. Whether you want that or not is up to you. I don't recommend doing a PID roast on your first roast, because you want to learn. All right. So preheating. Okay, so you're like, okay, I kind of want to start to preheat. Let me turn this off. So you want to start a roast. Like, I want to get it preheated first. This is where the PID values start really coming in handy. So I'll go to start. And this doesn't start your roast until you hit charge. So always remember that. And also, if you do accidentally hit charge, you can always hit backspace, or you can click on charge again, and it'll go backwards. If you have a keyboard setup, you can hit the. Oop, you go back. Oh, back. Uh-oh, went too far on that one. Okay, so you can click it when it's grayed out and go back into charge. And on your keyboard, see how it's highlighted in pink? You could, use your keyboard to hit the space button to hit that one, or you could, usually it's backspace. Or is it escape? I forget which button it is on the keyboard to stop it. But if that, if you don't want that to happen, you just click the gray, and it'll restart it back up to the last position or last place that you're at. All right, so charge. So the roast won't start until you charge. But if you want to do a preheat, you go to control, hit on. I don't know why I always click it that much, and then you can set it up to like 200. See, if you want to preheat to that, it'll lead up to there. But just for the sake of time, I'm gonna just drop my BT temperature to, let's do 90. I think I'll get there pretty fast. So this is the set value. I'm gonna switch it there to 90. I want you to look at burner. See how burner is adjusting? That's the PID taking over. It's controlling the burner to decrease to get to that 90 degree. And this is where, so I'm at 90 degrees Celsius is what I put it at. But if you want to charge to 200, you would get SV up to 2. Then you'll see what happens when I do that. The burner should go right to 100 or 90, because I limited it to 90. All right, so you got that SV set up and you're preheating. Things you want to do, make sure the drum is on. I'll usually go the lowest. I actually go lower than this on my my roaster, like the V1 that I set up to have the same motor, because it's all PWM value, so it's doing 80% or whatever. So 80, but if you want to go lower, you can go to config, events, and see where it says 80 right here in the minimum. You can raise that to or you can lower that to 60. And then you could really slow it down to like 75. Or even up to 60. I don't recommend that. You do want the beans to move around. If they don't move around enough, they're not agitated enough, you're not getting the chaff off. And what essentially is, the beans aren't really moving, and it causes like a lot of heat to get on certain beans, and it causes a good amount of unevenness. So you want it fast enough to where it doesn't fling over the lamp, because sometimes it'll go over the lamp, and it does this thing where I call surfing. So when it surfs the lamp, that means the bean's just coasting on there, and it looks like a wave to me. So it'll kind of like cruise down the slant of the lamp metal housing. So I'll kind of show you. So yeah, here's like the little lamp, and then the bean will literally fling up on top. And I have a video of it where one actually just kind of gets stuck there, and it like slowly rides it down. And it goes down further, and it literally gets stuck here, down, and then it'll fall off. And then you still have the burnt bean on the flat side. That's how the flat side beans, the burnt beans, come about. It's because the RPM's too high, and you have to kind of adjust that with your batch. Anyways, let's go back to window. All right, so it's still heating up. Some things you want to do, I'll set the jump to lower to 75. That, for my preference, is up to you. What do you want to set it to? Depending on how you're going to roast. And then air, I've been setting it up lower as of recent. I know they've been setting up at like 60 or 70, which is totally fine. You can do that. I would just recommend, if you're roasting for the first time, that you stick to that air and don't adjust it. Primarily, most of the heat will be controlled by the lamp. This is a radiant roaster. This is not a convection. This is a radiant dominant roaster. This is not a convection or conduction roaster. They're there. Those elements are there, but it primarily relies on radiant heat. So that's more penetrative. It's more direct. It requires the agitation, but it still requires air, especially when it starts to get smoky. It'll get all that air out. But you can keep it to like 30 to remove all that air. But if you feel like you're getting too much, then you can always raise it up to 60. And even some of the settings in the profile have it at 60. So I think when you get a little more accustomed to roasting with it, if you have it lower, then you can also raise it to like augment your roast. But that's not till later. That's not till you get more comfortable with roasting. Just remember that the heat will be the primary thing you want to adjust when you're starting off to roast. After that, then you do things like adjust the heat to reach a certain first crack timeline that you have in mind, or you use the air to kind of adjust the heat as well. That's another little modifier of the heat that you can use, like the airflow, to adjust it, remove heat away from the beans or something like that. But those are more, that gets more into the thick of it later. What you want to do is really want to focus on getting to first crack at a decent amount of time, not too long and not too short. After first crack, you'll hit this thing called development phase, where it's basically the time you spend after first crack. And it ranges from as fast as you want. Could be 30 seconds, could be up to 2 minutes. First crack is kind of up to you. Close down. Interesting. Question: can you set something to keep your burner from going above 90 for? Oh, I think I answered that for Lloyd Gross. Yeah, this will be recorded for YouTube. I'm just looking at the Discord questions. But yeah, I'll keep this up and then kind of inform y'all. Okay, so that's how you basically set this up for this method of roasting if you want to go through Artisan. Nothing wrong with Artisan at all. I think it's great. A lot of customization to it. It's just I guess the only reason why Highbeam's great too, but I think one of the biggest reasons why Highbeam is picking up in popularity is just because it's easy to set up and get going. There's not a lot of and it just looks nicer to look at. And if you want that tablet feel and not have to use this tablet that they assign to us, or they give us, then I think I honestly think Highbeam's a better option on an Android or iPad tablet if you can get it working. Right now, the V2 only works on Android in terms of Highbeam. I'm looking into other ways to get it on here. Like, we'll take a look at this port. So if we look at this port right here, that top port, that's sole purpose, from what I understand, that's a serial connection, and it literally spits out the TC4 protocol, which is the most important thing about this roaster. It's letting you use the customized TC4 protocol to kind of communicate with the roaster how you want to adjust speed, the fan, the temperatures, and all that kind of stuff. The drum, cooling, bean cooling, all that's done can be controlled through here. You just have to find the language to communicate with it, which we figured out pretty much all of it so far. It's a pretty standard protocol. The only thing is setting up an ESP32 and then making it powered at the same time. I mean, there's ways to do it. I'm trying to come up with a cleaner way, but I'm pretty sure I should just release the way to connect it to iOS, because right now the V2 is only working with Android. When I know pretty well you can get it onto iOS as well. You just need the ESP32 to act as like a transmitter. But anyways, all right. So let's say, well, let me turn this off. You kind of see, I should show you. It's still preheating at 200. If you want to do like consistency batches, start recording your ET. Understanding what your environmental temperature is at, and then that helps with consistency. It helps with your pre-warming process, or your warm-up process. I guess you call it like a between batch protocol. That kind of deals more with metals and conduction roasters, in the realm of the Scott Rouse stuff. But for us, we're radiant roasters, so all of our heat comes from direct absorption from, well, most of our heat comes from direct absorption of all electromagnetic waves to the beans and blah 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 blah. Anyways, just keep in mind, environmental temperature is there. It's not as useful as it would be for a convection roaster, but it is useful for things like understanding your environmental temperature when you want to keep it at a certain temperature to start a batch of beans that you purchase. Say you bought like I don't know, like 2 kilos of one bean, and you want to like work on the consistency, then looking into keeping the ET the same temperature at each roast is a good way of managing that. And you could also find like a way of making, like, maybe starting your roast at 180 degrees Celsius, and then from there on in, that's how you know your roaster is all warmed up. So that would be a big thing with the ET temperature probe with this roaster. Other roasters, it comes in way more handy, because with things like convection, though, they actually would be useful. A better use of, I guess, ET temperature probe would be an exhaust probe, but that's neither here nor there. All right, so that's one way of connecting it. If you want to do it through Bluetooth, if for some reason your Bluetooth decides no more, I've had that issue with some people who are like, oh, my Bluetooth just stopped working. There's another way you can connect it. We'll take a peek at that way. Let me see if I have the cord for it. Yeah, we'll just use this USB. I had a USB-A to USB-A cable. Nope. Oh, there it is. All right. Okay. So that's how we do it through Bluetooth. But say your Bluetooth chip is not working for some reason, or it decides to Bluetooth decides to keep cutting on you for whatever reason. Usually classic Bluetooth doesn't do that. It's actually pretty stable, from what I understand. But if it's not, we can try another way. So this would be a direct serial communication. This is the serial port. So I'm going to plug that into the top port. I'm using a USB-A to USB-A cable, so that looks like this. It's the old school ones. I think you could do USB-A to USB-C, but I just happen to have these. But I'll use the USB-A to USB-A. So I plug that in to my computer. Let's go look at it. All right, let's go ahead and we'll go to port. So remember we had 2030, 24, and I think we added a 24, 25. Looks like I added another one. If you can't tell, like if you're like me and have like a bajillion COM ports for some stupid reason, you know, go 11, 12, 13, 17, 18. Let's see what one gets lost, okay? So it looks like 11 gets lost. So I'm gonna plug it back in. We'll see if 11 comes back. There it is. I plugged the port back in and 11 came up. So that is obviously the COM port. So what you can do from there is hit OK, hit on. You could discard that. Just pray it works. It's been on and off to get this thing working with this COM port. I wonder if it has to do with the setting. Yeah, okay. Figure that out real quick. All right. What you need to do, if you want to use the COM port, the serial COM port, a lot of us were like having issues with it. I guess I just figured it out. Well, somebody else probably figured it out too. But to get this working with the serial port, you got to take it off the Bluetooth. So I had it on Bluetooth. Right. So initially I had it on Bluetooth, and that's why I wasn't detecting it. So go to ports. I was at COM 11. Hit on. It's working now. I don't know, but it didn't start working until I took it off of Bluetooth. So, oh, it's actually off still. So hold on. Let me turn Bluetooth back on. So if I had it on Bluetooth for some reason, and I try to connect it, I don't think it'll connect. All right. Well, then we'll kind of see what happens when I take it off of Bluetooth. I'm clicking Bluetooth off. Okay. So what we know for so far is when you have Bluetooth on, it stops sending signals out of that port. What you can do, I really should get on this too, is what you can do is just put the Bluetooth off, and then I'll start going to the serial port if you want to do it that way. I wonder if I can control it without the tablet. I'm going to take the tablet off on the bottom. Do I still have control? I do. Okay. I didn't think of that. Anyways, that might be a good sign, because now you literally could just get this board, the JGY 2838 motor, get the custom plate, and you can slap this in a V1 and basically have a V2. So that sounds fair to me. I'll be honest, I'm not a fan of the tablet, so you know, no sadness over that. So you don't have to use this $30 tablet that's sold for $111. So if you want to just without the tablet, and you want to just do Artisan with just serial USB connection, you could do it this way. And then I think for the V1 folks, I'll update that code to where the ESP32 can read all this stuff out of here and send it to Highbeam. But all right, we'll talk about that later. Anyways, all right, let's do Highbeam next. All right, so you want to roast with Highbeam. What do you need? Well, with the V2, all you need is an Android phone or tablet, and Forgot about this part. Yeah, you do need to. You need this tablet just to turn on the Bluetooth for this, okay? Because right now Bluetooth is off. So Bluetooth is off, so you want Bluetooth on. Uh-oh. Oh, I wonder if I have to unplug it. Oh, that's why. I gotta unplug it from here. There you go. So I gotta, if it's on Artisan and it's on, it's connected to it and it's sending read back and forth, the protocol back and forth. It won't switch off of that until you completely disconnect from Artisan. Then you can start messing with the tablet again. All right, so Bluetooth on. You want that? We want to get that turned on, and then we'll switch back into here. Let me go get my tablet. Okay. So, get this up higher. So what we want to do is we want to click on Highbeam. This will pop up. Now we want to go ahead and we're going to add the Delta. So let me just delete this thing off first. Don't do this. This is just me taking off my stuff. All right. So let's say you had a clean install. So if we have a clean install, what we'll do is we'll hit the plus sign to the right. Actually, I should use the mouse for this. Well, you hit the plus sign to the right, and then you're going to scroll through all the roasters that Highbeam supports, and it's growing every day. Not every day, but every week it's growing. So this Skywalker is Skywalker V1. We are technically Skywalker Delta because the original manufacturer decided he wanted to call V1 Alpha and V2 Delta when originally everybody was just calling it Skywalker. That must be the fear of Disney kind of thing. So Skywalker Delta, we'll click on that. We're going to scan. Notice something familiar? AK roaster. So we're going to hit add on that. We're going to touch it. Pairing. Roaster paired. Pairing success. Give it a minute because it says disconnected right now. But if you want to reconnect, just give it a few more seconds. You just want to tap that there. Good. Now you have it all set up. So now Highbeam's connected to your V2. So what you can do is you can either mess with your heater, turn your fan off, turn your fan on, turn your drum on, turn your drum off, then hits completes. Device settings. Now you have a bunch of settings you could use. It's still using software PID. And the reason it's using software PID, which is basically the tablet doing all the calculations for PID, is because the V2 doesn't have hardware PID installed like a Kaleido would, or like an ESP. Well, it uses the ESP32 library. It's technically a software PID, but it's not as fast. It's faster than it would be with a software PID if you had to go through a tablet to control it or a computer. Where if it's in the embedded in the hardware, like you're using a PID V1 library, it's quicker. Calculations are a lot faster that way versus because it's hardware level versus going through the software level. Anywho, so if you if you get advanced to where you want to change your software PID settings, here it is. I have a few people had success, I guess, with. I don't know how they did it. They said they copied their roast, they put it on ChatGPT, they gave it the settings for the KPKI and KD, and then somehow ChatGPT gave them like a range to put in. So you could try doing that. Honestly, the best way to do this is kind of go through a lot of kilograms of beans to really get that set. And it's going to change over time because the lamp degrades. All right. All the settings you want. Do you want to turn the heat off after drop? Yeah, you do. Keep that on just for a safety feature, because even I forget to turn off the heat sometimes when I do a drop. And then turn fan after drop. Yeah, I probably want that. I'll keep the drum running because sometimes there might be a bean stuck in there or wedged in there, so it might help just to rotate it a little bit more. I just forget. Well, maybe the bean cooling fan I want on, and I'll turn. No, I'll keep those both on. Yeah, keep the fan on. Either way, keep the exhaust fan on, so you're taking all that smoke out, and then turn on cooling fan, so you're cooling those beans right after you drop the beans into the tray. Some people don't like auto detection. You could turn those off if you hate auto marking or auto charging. You want everything to be done by you. That's fine. This sensitivity is in relation to your graph. Wait, no, this would be just auto marking. So put a medium sensitivity. Thought it was for graphing, but I think it's how, you know, to hit like auto charge or auto detect what settings you would. There's like a medium, or like a high sensitivity, a low sensitivity. You play with that if you feel like you're having issues with your charge. Soaking, you could do soaking settings if you want. I know people are really into that. I haven't played with soaking, so I'm going to leave that alone. But if you ever do play with soaking, let me know and tell me how that tastes, because a lot of people are having success with soaking it too. So, you know, kudos to them. It's always good when you experiment. All right, so you want to start a roast, go to device. When you first start, you'll have a default profile, but it'll be empty, which is fine. You can go to switch, you can add a profile, you can create your own. One cool thing now is you can, if you're starting off from scratch and you want to like and you want to try a roast from somebody else with the same kind of roaster with Highbeam, what you can do now is you can access Roastetta. Roastetta is this really cool website where a lot of us have been uploading our A-logs to, sharing it with a bunch of people. But what you can do, and I recommend people doing this, is going through they have a list of roasters you can go through. Cyber Roaster, Dongies. There used to be just like a handful. Now there's a bunch. Caldus Fortis. So you just find out whichever, or Fidget Data Bridge, or you just figure out what roaster you have. So ours is either the Delta or the Cyber Roaster or the V2, whatever you want to call it. So let's do Skywalker series, and then we'll filter that out. And you'll have bread coat. Say you look at it and you're like, oh, 16% development. Let's check this out. And you have access to like how it looks like when they charge. A lot of people like to look at a nice looking ROR that looks like a nice slow decline. It's nothing sharp. Some people are picky about that stuff, so you could keep that in mind. And this might be a good, you know, a good profile to try if you want to try it. It has some roast feedback. It comes in handy. Kind of gives you a heads up on what you can maybe improve on if you like were to cup it and then you're like, well, I kind of didn't like that. You could go maybe back to roast feedback and see, you know, what recommendations they have here. They're not necessarily like hardcore rules that you're set up to, because they're all, I think the logic behind it is set up to where it follows kind of like the Scott Rao mentality of roasting. But they're good feedback to start off as a beginner. Like, oh, this one tasted a little bit too dark. What can I do to fix it? And usually the feedback will be like, well, maybe you could back off of development time a little bit. I'll tell you if you have a crazy development time. Like you're like, I'm gonna try a 4 minute development time. It's like, well, you reached, you might have reached third crack by then. But it kind of gives you like the percentages of each phase. Um, don't sweat that too much. I think dev percentage would be the one you're looking at. And 133, 1 minute 33 for our roaster is kind of considered, to be like on the light roast, going to medium. That's what people usually set up to 1 minute 30. But if you want it lighter, you can always have first crack development, development time up to 33 seconds. Hell, you can do whatever you want. 33 seconds, 15 seconds. Just taste it, and if it's something you like, you win. Something you don't like, and you want maybe something a little bit sweeter, then you can up the time in your first crack time. In terms of roasting, it's a common, not common knowledge, but it's a common thing where it says 80% of your roasting flavor is going to is coming from this right here, your development time, in terms of what the roast color you're trying to achieve. So color of your bean will be 80% of the flavor. And when I say that, it's like if you have like a cinnamon looking bean, you'll have maybe more acidic flavors, more floral. And then once you go past like closer to a darker roast, you get more of those darker qualities. I don't know, bold, maybe, what's that one? There's one with taste. What's it called? Like texture. Texture is one. Body. There it is. Like a better body or something. Yeah. Usually people want to increase sweetness, so you need to like extend your development time. So if you feel like you did 1 minute 30 and you're like, it's still kind of acidic and it's a little too floral, fruity for me, then you can roast it a little bit more. It kind of loses acidity, but gains a little bit more sweetness. But not the sweetness in the sense of like a spoonful of sugar. It would be, I guess you'll taste it when you find out. I highly recommend getting like a bean you really like that's not really hard to roast. Like a geisha would be really hard to roast because those like to tip and scorch. Try to get like I don't know. Someone said some Colombian variety, and then buy a bunch of that, and then just test out different parts of the roast, like in terms of development time or the speed you get to first crack. Yeah, because 80% of the flavor is going to come from the bean color, and then 15% is usually is involved with adjusting the time to get to first crack, whether it be shorter or longer. And then you're adjusting those to give that like 15% difference. Anyways, we're gonna have a lot more discussion on that soon. I actually got in contact with Rob Hoos, and he might actually come and give us a little bit of a nice little, not lecture, but a little bit of getting started with roasting and what to do and kind of ways to think about it. So I'm setting that up for us as well, because I'm still learning as well. Anyways, so this is Highbeam. We're gonna just download it, and the beauty of Highbeam is it's gonna upload that right up to here, and there you go. All right, and you hit create copy, and then there's that log right there. You want to confirm. We'll go back. So now it's all set up to here. You can replace the log, something else if you want to, but that's how you import it. Switch. There you go. 2506 pan, 400 grams. And then you could switch to that profile. But we're not gonna just automatically roast on their first one, right? You can, but I think it's better if you play with it manually. You can use also you can use the bean temp tracking. They use the software PID. You could try using it if you really want to just have like it kind of start the roast off for you, and then what you have to do is kind of like start preheat, and it kind of it does all the adjustments and changes for you. Except for the fan and the drum. You got to set those up yourself. So, you know, if it's your first time roasting, we'll follow what the manufacturer says and maybe start off with the 50-60%. All right. And then I'll say target temp right here. It's getting to 192 degrees Celsius. So I was trying to reach that. I got to talk to Will about putting in the ET, the environmental temperature for us on the V2. I forget if there's a setting to adjust with that, but I'll mention it. All right. So now, right now we're at the PID portion of auto roasting. And you can also take this over anytime you want to go manually roast. I don't think you have to follow this. You can, if you feel like, I want to take over, you can always just click here. It'll give you a little warning. After stopping auto heating temperature control, we'll switch to manual mode. Confirm? Confirm. I don't think you could go back into PID tracking. I don't think. You might be able to. I'm not sure. But I'll recommend to get the real good, you know, feel for it. We'll do manual roasting. So let's start manual roasting. You can do start preheating. There you go. Get it up to the preheat temperature. Got the fan at 60, drum at 1. And you can wait for it to preheat. Preheat, if you don't know what your environmental temperature is, I just go by Rubase's recommendations of a 5-minute warm up after you hit charge temperature. So what does that mean? So see this 200 mark right here? That's like the temp we want to start the roast off. So what you want to do is you want to reach that temperature first, and then you want to keep it at 200 for about 5 minutes or so. 5-10 minutes if you want to. Especially when you first start roasting. This is your very, very first batch. And you want to make sure you get all the factory oils off. Go ahead and, you know, warm it up 10 minutes at 200 if you don't want to waste your beans. If you got some seasoning beans, our drum doesn't need seasoning, but it's a good way of kind of cleaning out all the leftover oils, I guess. People were complaining that there is like a weird taste to the bean on the first roast, but then on their second roast it tastes a little better. And you know, maybe it is those oils left over at the factory. But go ahead and just, you know, have a sacrificial one. I won't lie, my first roast on my Skywalker, it burnt. So I took that as a seasoning. It tasted awful. Those beans tasted terrible. Okay. And that's pretty much how you get it all set up in all two of those settings. I think there was questions. Okay, I'll answer some questions I saw in the group discussion. Where is it? The group by section. I'll see what I can do. Okay, so I asked what people wanted to do on the V2, and they said get a starter guide going. I'll have to get that going one day. Cleaning protocol. All right, let's be real here. I'm gonna grab this picture first. I have the great fortune of working on these roasters. So let me kind of show you what it looks like when you decide to not clean it, or you try treating this like it's some kind of production roaster. So right here, this obviously went through a lot of freaking coffee. Boy, oh boy. Like the amount of coffee is insane. Also, you could tell that they tightly clamp the exhaust, the little exhaust part. Let me show you. This part right here, they clamp the hose tightly onto there. And from what I gather, every time somebody's done that, and depending on like the condensation around the area or whatever, or the moisture or whatever, it doesn't lead to a lot of like bean dripping, like juices dripping from here, because like a condensation building up from here, going into the cold pipe, I guess, causes a lot of that condensation to occur, and it's usually just bean oil dripping down. But anyways, you should clean this once a month. I would say it's only it's like 6 screws, 2, 4, 6 that you got to pull off, and literally you could keep these on loose, take these 4 off, take these 4 off, leave these 2 loose, and you could pull it right out and just clean this area. We had another roaster where it was this part right here was just filled to the brim with like I guess coffee soot. It was like maybe a millimeter thick, no, 2 millimeters thick at least, of like coffee bean stuff. So I had to scrub that out and blow it out. So yeah, I definitely recommend cleaning it once a month, just wiping it off. I think these are slow drips, but eventually if you do not do anything, it'll go into these vents, and it goes down this weird route to the USB port right over here, and then it kills the board, and then you get an E1 usually. So yeah, in terms of cleaning, I would recommend once a month. Take off the back panel, clean the inside of the this part right here, making sure there's no oil and stuff here. And one big thing you could do is just instead of having a pipe directly connected to here, you can have like a hood, like an inline, get like an inline booster, like air booster thing, or what's it called? Yeah, they call it inline boosters, where they suck air within the line of the your pipes or your ducts, and then just have like a little hood on top just to get all that smoke. Or you can be a complete idiot and get an airwave like I did, because you're stupid, like myself. I don't know. I bought it because I'm doing a lot of roasting in my garage. I don't like opening it at night. I opened it recently, and that's the only way I could vent all my stuff. And now I have a mouse somewhere in my garage. I saw it last night. I saw it just like the corner of my eye. So inline exhaust fan. Thank you, Mike. I think it's better just to have it as a hood. I've been seeing like less issues, and I haven't had any moisture issues like this. I usually have mine inside the house, roasting underneath a kitchen range, or Renatoa says that he's found it really good if you just Renatoa. He's the Skywalker guy. He has like a hood on top of his, like a little bit of plastic hood, and it just sucks in all that smoke. That's one way you could do it. But yeah, I feel like everyone who's like directly connected and roast on this thing like their legitimate micro roaster, I find very awesome, because it's working really well for them, I guess. But at the same time, yeah, you're working the shit out of it. Look at all that. It's crazy. They also had a year return policy at Precision, and the Precision will take this back. Anyways, no questions. I'll answer mostly just like things about running a V2. In terms of like roast theory questions, I'm not the person about roast theory, which is why I asked Rob Hoos to join us. And once I get him a Highbeam module, he's gonna give his thoughts about it. So far, he really likes this roaster. Like he had good roast out of it. And that's just using the regular controller board or control panel like this. He said he got good results from this, and he was surprised. Artisan and Highbeam setup, pros and cons. So I did the setup. Artisan, it's been out longer. It's I think it's an industry standard for the most part. So I honestly think if you want something that's been reliable, been out there for years, then I think Artisan might be kind of the way to go. And it's a little bit dated in the looks, but I mean, it's a control. You're controlling a roaster. You're not. It's not a beauty contest. It does the job well, and it's very customizable. Like you could go to config, and you could just mid roasting, you could switch out your buttons. I really wish there was just like a serial command console. There might be one. I don't know where it's at, but I'd really like to have one of those. But yeah, you could do a bunch of different stuff. Yeah. And I barely touched like the surface. You could do cool stuff like where is it? You have a curve designer. If you wanted to design your own curve, or you find that you want to extend a certain phase out before reaching first crack, or lowering this temperature and trying to get the best ROR curve. There's a lot of cool stuff you could do just to find that curve that fits your taste buds for that certain bean. Every bean will have a different curve. So there's a lot of things you can adjust. I don't know what I'd recommend to adjust, so I don't really use it. But if you're using Highbeam, I mean, it works pretty well. I mean, this is just the software PID right now, just kind of doing a preheat. I think it works okay. I really like the aesthetic of it. I really like how easy it is to set up. And I really like working with Will, the guy behind it, just because instead of just forcing us to buy his his control modules, he gives the community an option to play with it, add certain features onto it. He didn't close it off to us, and he's been really open about getting it on there, so, and letting us play with it. So that's another cool thing about it is Will, the guy who kind of runs it for us, adjusts all the things to make it help work for the Skywalker. Really listens to us and tries our best to help fix certain issues, even though it's a kind of a headache, because there's a headache with a lot of the coding initially. Luckily, we got someone on the team that fixed a bunch of our code. And then you have people like Bear, No Name, Mr. No One, all those kind of people helping with firmwares and things like that. So we really have a really nice community going on. And I really appreciate all their kind of hard work, putting out custom firmwares, helping other people out. And I really like Will that he allows us to do that instead of just cutting us off. Yeah, he's even open. I told him about Rosetta, and automatically we kind of just reached out and he added it in. And that was like within 2 days. I was really impressed by that. But yeah, his overall goal is to make roasting easier and more accessible. So let's see what else. Any other questions? Oh, how to replay a roast on Artisan. I've never done that on Artisan. I think Mike has. But yeah, I've never done I haven't replayed a roast. I didn't know that was possible, or even thought about it until Highbeam had their version of it, where you literally do one roast and it saves it, and all you have to do is just load it back up, and then it runs the same exact settings and airflow, burner settings. It changes to what a time it changed it at. So I feel like I got good results from there. Like I got like it following the ROR curve and the temperature curve like really, really close. So let's go open that up. Oh, I unplugged it. That's why. Ugh. All right. So if you want to, let's keep in a good job preheating. So I'm gonna exit. So if you want to roast and you want to do auto roasting, you got either bean temp tracking, which is PID controlled, or heat power tracking, which is adjusted by the heat power adjustments airflow drum from the last plan. I really didn't answer that question well for Artisan. I don't know how to do it. I want to learn, but I just don't have enough time. And I'm kind of lazy. I'm behind. When will the kilogram roaster group buy happen? I don't know. I tried asking Akimata, iTop, and Caterjoy. All of them are saying it's coming out next month. They're not really. I guess they weren't really interested in a group buy for it. So I don't know if it's going to happen. I could barely get them to send me one. They're sending it out to some people already. Probably people in China, but the sneaking suspicion that they don't want to send it our way because I know they made a bunch of changes. I don't know if they want to have it open like they did before. Like I'm a little bit afraid that they're going to start doing encoding and decoding of the protocol to prevent us from getting it onto Artisan or Highbeam ourselves. But they haven't mentioned that. I don't think Vanessa wants that to happen from iTop because just of how much fanfare and just how much is just being that open for us to add those two things made this a really popular roaster. Not to mention that it does do a good job roasting. So in terms of the kilogram roaster, the big boy roaster, I don't know. We'll find out. Maybe next month. Yep, that's it. Those are all the questions I saw so far. Let me go see. I'm gonna show you if I could find it. Pardon me. From maybe I put it pinned it somewhere. Let me double check. Did I pin it in roasting? Let me try to pin it real quick. There is like a Discord. Let's see. I gotta go through all my files. I want to talk to you about curves. Like everyone's like, what's a good curve? What does a good curve look like? What are we trying to achieve? Um, I did upload a pretty cool cheat sheet from Rob Hoos. Let me see. There you go. All right. Let's see. So we'll talk about, what's the big deal with curves? What are these curves you keep talking about, or people keep swearing that they need to do? All right. Oh, hold on. So Rob Hoos has this little cheat sheet. It kind of talks about, and this stuff, it might be more for convection roasting, but in general, when you're applying a heat, um, there's this like curve that people like to follow, this ROR curve right here, which is the one that's going up and then declining very slowly back down over time. Yeah, so it kind of gives you, it's like a little nice cheat sheet that kind of gives you information about, drying time, Maillard time, reaction, and then development time. Things you can adjust or modulate for flavor. It's tips like roasting quicker to first crack reduces length of aftertaste and bitterness. Roasting slower to first crack increases aftertaste and bitterness, all that kind of stuff. So it gives you like a nice little cheat sheet. Flavor descriptors I use for Maillard MAI time changes in the book are better applied to the total time of the beginning of to the time of the beginning of first crack. So just little tips. But what we're overall trying to achieve is this slow and steady decline in ROR over time. That's the ideal curve. And kind of the best way is to, start at like the burner at maybe 80% and then slowly over time lowering it down. So you could try to control that curve, or you could try using PID to follow this temperature curve. But what you want eventually in the end is that. And you want to start it off and you want to try to get close to that curve as you can, but you also want to keep track of that curve, so because you're going to taste it, you're going to taste your coffee, you're going to do all the fancy tasting stuff. Some people will just have a cup of joe and be like, okay, this is what it tastes like black. What can I do to adjust it? And then you kind of look at what you want to do. Things like big things that people always complain about are like acidity or fruitiness, being on the light roast side of things. So you could maybe, if you do taste those fruitiness or acidity, and like, oh, it's not the kind of thing I'm looking for, then you want to extend your development time. By how much? I don't know. That's why it's good to buy a lot of beans. But yeah, usually, generally, if you extend that out a little bit longer, you kind of lose that fruitiness, acidity, and you start developing more like sweeter notes. Yeah, roasting longer increases length of aftertaste. Roasting shorter, okay. Maillard starts before yelling and do not end at the beginning of first crack. This is the segment where they are dominant. High molecular weight compounds and complex flavoring and aromatic compounds cause significant flavor and texture development in this region. Take a peek at this. Yeah, I think that it's up on their Discord too. I probably should ask if that's okay to share this. I thought I got it free from somewhere, but let me double check. Mike. Oh, Mike, my opinion only. I target a peak ROR at 20 degrees C, 40 degrees Fahrenheit, and decline to where entering FC. The RR is in the teens and ends around 5 to 8 degrees. Okay. Yeah. Like getting into like the real thick of coffee roasting can be interesting. Could be fun, but just don't let it ruin the experience as well. I know sometimes for a while I was trying to chase like getting the perfect coffee. And then I remember listening to a podcast and the guy was like, if you're trying really that hard, maybe change the bean. You only could change the bean so much. But there's definitely different theories and ways you can roast. And really it's all about, in the end, it just depends on what you want to taste, what your flavor is. Like, what flavor speaks to you? No, just like what, like for me, every time I get a good cup, I'm like, oh, I really enjoyed that. You know, I win. There you go. I got exactly what I wanted. Well, it feels better though is when I like, oh, I'm starting to get to the point where I go like, oh, it's too acidic. I'm gonna maybe extend it out another 10 seconds. I'm like, oh, that's very nice. And I think one of the biggest things when you start tasting more coffee is realizing that, yeah, if you have weird little jankiness, like a really steep decline in your ROR, and then like for some reason it goes out of control, it does affect the flavor to a certain degree. Like really unregulated, not small little ups and down curves. Like if it's generally going in a downward direction, I'll count it as good. But if it's like dropping super like temperature, the RR curve is just jumping all over the place, like you had some weird big temperature spike, then you can kind of taste it sometimes. Because I've had roasts where I thought, you know, I was really concerned about flicks and crashes before, and I had some roasts where it was just like, oh my god, this curve's all over the fucking place, and then I cup it and I'm like, oh man, I really can't recreate that. It was a really good cup, but I have no idea what I did to make it bounce all over the fucking place. So yeah, your curves and all that stuff can be affected with things like trier pulls and little when I was first roasting, I did a lot of like top peaking, so because it was really kind of cool watching it, right? But that does kind of affect the temperatures. But you know, instead of using the trier to check out the beams and looking inside, I was, you know, going like that. Like, oh, it's kind of looking inside. Oh, I call it top peaking. So I would kind of like top peak, and it would really affect the temperature as well. But yeah, that's the V2. If you have any more questions or if you want to go over roasting with me on it, that'd be great too. I wouldn't mind. Manipulating charge temp and initial gas / electric heat setting influences the peak RR number. And this is reading what Mike Mathis is writing on the YouTube thing. He's no stranger. This man knows what he's talking about. I trust him. But yeah, it's true. Manipulating charging temperature and initial gas electric heat setting will influence your peak ROR number. And people are playing around with like setting their charge low. I guess I wonder if is that considered soaking, where you set it low and then you kind of ramp up your temperature, like you ramp up the burner and then you go back down to decrease it. I'm always wondering. And they said they got good results from that. I haven't tried that yet. There's so many things I want to try. There's one other thing I tried recently where this really plays on the radiant side of roasting, where because with radiant heat it absorbs and it goes down a few layers. So this guy Coffee Mind or Coffee Hive or Coffee Mind, it was a podcast. He's talking about like radiant heat and talking about like, well, I want to try this experiment where you hit first crack and then you just turn off your burner. You turn off the radiant heat source. And you just kind of let, I guess, thermal inertia or whatever kind of just take over So I did that. I cupped it, and it tasted weird. So I thought it was interesting, an interesting idea. It just had a, I can't really describe the flavor. It was just it definitely tasted different. I have a bag of it. I just labeled it Radiant, and I compared it with the other one. And for me, I just like the other one. I think it's the body was different, like a clean cup. It was more clean when I did it with when I didn't do the hard, burner to zero. What gas roaster do you have, Mike? I really need to get my I gotta assemble my cormorant. I want to try it, but I'm like, I don't know. I've been using electric for so long. I just don't. I don't know how the reaction times and everything, and how that is with gas roasters. I know there's a difference when you're roasting on a gas one, using like a drum gas one, a BC2. I have a cormorant. I know they're different in terms of like how you roast with them. I just don't know how. Like I don't know. I just have to play with it, to be honest. But I also need to clear out my garage of all these V1s. So let me know if you're interested in V1, because I just finished 3 of them. And I got a bunch of motors coming in. I'm gonna try to all the ones that had broken motors, I'm putting in. I'm gonna mod them to have variable drum motor, so it'll be just like a V2. Propane. Yeah. All right. I'm gonna call it there. I got to go start cleaning and cooking for my family. I was supposed to be on earlier this morning, but my kid had a hand fracture, so it was on the. I'm in the medical field, so this is the nerdy side of me. But it's a fracture, a Sadler type 2. It's at the growth plate, so it's a little concerning. But I actually make splints at home for my patients, so I made him a splint. So that was kind of fun. But yeah. But now he has to go see a general surgeon, so I gotta go deal with that for a little bit. But anyways, stand by. More fun things to happen. Giveaway should be coming up for the Cyber Roaster. Giveaway for V1. I have a Highbeam module I'm gonna do a video on installing it, but that'll probably do a giveaway with that, and then there will be a giveaway with one of Rob Hoose's books. I bought 2 of them, or he gave me 2. I bought 1. I think he gave me 2, so I'm gonna put that up, and then probably some beans. I don't know, but that's gonna happen when I get Rob Hoose in on his lecture day. It's not a really lecture. It's gonna be a Q&A. We haven't decided yet. I have to send him the hype. He has a Skywalker. He's been roasting with it. He just doesn't have the unit I've sent him, these like little nanos. I think I got a bad batch of Arduino nanos, because I sent him 2 of these stupid things, and they decided to not work as soon as he got there, and they haven't been working since. I had them in a case and everything. I was hoping it would have protected it, but yeah, now I have to. I'm gonna send him just a Highbeam one with the new custom firmware, the cross firmware. That one that has it all. It has Artisan. You can do WebSocket over you can have it sign on to your home network, and then you can access Artisan can access it through the home network that way, and it's actually really quick. Like I thought it would be slower than Bluetooth, but it's pretty fast. It felt like serial connection. So, and then it'll have Highbeam on there too, so I'll have BLE connection. So I just got to send him. I have the unit ready. I got to put it in a bag and send it off today. I made sure it works. So Maybe in another month or so. I'm hoping in another month. I still have to get them admins to probably help me out that day too. I haven't even talked to them. I have to go to the admin channel and ask them if they could help me that day. So yeah. So I'll do a few giveaways that way, and then just try to get more people into it. And then yeah, me and Rob are kind of in the agreement that overall goal, his goal too, is like getting more people into roasting to make it more accessible. So I guess we're on the same page with that, and everybody else in the Discord. But yeah, I'll let you know when all that's happening. I probably have to stick the shipping to just US only. Yeah, it'll just be easier that way. But yeah, I'll have like this to give away. I just want to make a video of me installing their unit. So this is theirs. Little Highbeam module, basically STM32 in a case. But you know, it probably has less issues than ours. Some of our code. I know for sure my code works way better than that. Yeah, I mean, I talked to him and I was like, "Oh, how you like roasting with it?" He's like, "It's really nice. I just wish." He says it's a good time roasting with it. He's, you know, price point. He's impressed how cheap it is compared to a Kaleido, and yeah, the cost is the thing, and he really likes the fact that the community is open, trying to get more people into roasting, making it easier for people to understand. So yeah, but he's gonna answer more, I guess, not tougher questions, but just more roasting theory related questions. There's a lot of I just don't like telling people like you can't think of roasting this way, because then I sound like I'm against like everything Rob Hoos, or not Rob Hoos, Scott Rao is about. But there's some people joining the community that are that like to live by you know, by his more stringent methodical theory. So I like to join Rob Hoos to join us. His is more a little bit more open, I guess. Not a strict, I guess. Not strict guidelines. It's more about, you know, tasting, adjusting, and then tasting. But anyways, all right. Let me know if you have any more questions or if you want to do any more with the V2. I'll gladly join you for that. All right. Anyways, thanks for joining. Drink more coffee.